It is still happening. The British pound is going down. Look at this chart. It is actually disaster for the British pound. The British pound is even not keeping with the house prices in the United Kingdom against other currencies. The British pound actually is losing so much that even Swiss franc is going faster than the British housing in the United Kingdom. What does it mean? That means that the Swiss franc is a better investment according to official this data that we can see on this chart now than UK houses to British pound. What does this mean? Well, now we are talking about the collapse of the British pound, but the collapse of the British pound can be measured also by the house price index in the United Kingdom. Well, the average house price in the United Kingdom actually hasn't moved since June 2022. Now it is over 3 years. First, it collapsed to £290,000 to September 2023. Now it is less than in June 2022. Today, average house price in the United Kingdom is 297. Well, it is just a little. This is just 3,000k. Well, but this can be also a mistake. This is always 1% or 2% or even more that can be added up or taken as the data is just data, as this is just an average. And now at the moment we have the same price as almost more than 3 years ago. So the housing market is not moving in the United Kingdom, but the media is going around telling us that actually it is not the truth. And many actually people and many actually other sources actually indicating us that the housing market in the United Kingdom is growing and growing, and this is one of the best housing market to invest around the world, especially in the Europe. But this is not the truth. The truth is that the UK is struggling heavily. In June 2022, one British pound was 0.8 Swiss franc. So that means if you want to buy one British pound, you would have to, if you wanted to buy 1 Swiss franc, you would have to pay 0.81 British pound, 81 pences. 81 pences for 1 Swiss franc. Today, 1 Swiss franc is more than then. It actually increased by more than 10%. It increased by 12 British pounds to Swiss franc. More than 10%. So the British pound is losing against actually Swiss franc, and the housing market is not moving up. But the inflation is soaring. The inflation in the United Kingdom is one of the highest inflation in Europe. Actually, but if we take the basket of the most important currencies around the world, well, in our minds, because I don't believe that one or another currency is always more important, but we still believe that British pound is quite important currency. But this quite important currency, so-called British pound, actually has very high inflation in the country. That means actually this currency is losing heavily in its own country. And on the top of that, to keep this British pound not going down very fast, they have to keep the interest rate very high, which is now today 4.25%. This is a very high interest rate, as in the Eurozone. ECB, European Central Bank, based in Frankfurt, set the interest rate on 2.15. So the interest rate on mortgages in the United Kingdom can vary up to twice higher than in the European Union Eurozone. Eurozone is around 300-400 million people. 300-400 million people actually use the euro as their mortgage funding, as their mortgage loan, as their vehicle to invest. So actually, the euro is much better than the British pound due to this high number of people that actually been using and are using and will be using until it will collapse maybe one day or maybe not. As we know that Roman Empire been collapsing for almost 200 years. So people that are awaiting the collapse of the European Union can still wait. 100 years or maybe 150 years or maybe 200 years as the European imperial I call it status usually last very long, and this what is now this European Union is been with us very short period. So maybe euro will collapse, maybe will not collapse, maybe will collapse in next 100 years, 50 years, maybe in next 200 years, or maybe it will last for 1000 years as the British pound. But what I am trying to say that is that the British pound is even struggling to its own housing market. Even to its own housing market. But now, actually, the housing market is overheated due to this high interest rate that must be actually put on the British pound as the inflation is soaring, as the inflation is high and everything is getting more expensive, but not the housing market. People are selling up. The British houses actually are struggling. The housing market in the United Kingdom is struggling due to very expensive electricity, due to very expensive cost of refurbishing, due to mold, due to wet weather and very expensive gas. If a country like United Kingdom has very expensive gas and very expensive electricity, then there is the dump, everything is wet and there is a mold, and actually this kind of situation is very bad for the housing market as it is not drying up and actually it is deteriorating the structure of the property. Well, now I am going to show you something that will blow your mind. This is chart that you will not see in your British TV or American TV. This is Swiss franc. This is GBP, British pound against Swiss franc. What is Swiss franc? Swiss franc is a currency of Switzerland. Very wealthy, very rich country with a very good banking for now. And what is happening to the British pound against this currency? It is going down today for 1 British pound. Actually, this is the chart that this is another chart that I am showing. Just seconds ago, I showed you also chart, but chart reverted to chief CHF against GBP, so Swiss franc against the British pound. Now it is GBP against the Swiss franc, and what we are seeing here is actually deep steep hill, and this deep steep hill indicates how the British pound is going down against Swiss currency for last 50 years, not for 1 year, 2 years, not due to European Union, not due to the Eastern Europeans that took the jobs from the British. No, it is not. It's been with us for 50 years. And this 50 years shows the real health of the British pound, of the British economy. Once the British pound was 7 Swiss francs per 1 pound. Here, 50 years ago. And since that time, the British pound is going down from 7 to 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 and to 1 now, 1.07. Even it was even lower a few times than today. But you think, well, that may not be so difficult to go up. Well, something can't go down all the time. It must go up again. Well, it's not the point with the Switzerland. is not the point with the Swiss franc. As already, Australian dollar is 0.5 Swiss franc, and the same to Canadian dollar, New Zealand currency. Those currencies are oscillating around 0.5 Swiss franc. Once Swiss franc was for, you would have to pay 2 Swiss francs for 1 Australian dollar. Today you have to pay 2 Australian dollars for each Swiss franc. Can you imagine that? So the British pound will go down if something will not happen, but how on earth would it happen? So it will happen probably for 99%. The Queen and well the King doesn't give you all gold that will skyrocket your currency. Maybe they don't have this gold. Maybe they don't have wealth anymore. For sure, now the pound is going below 1 franc per 1 pound. But the reality is that this is not only point that I wanted to talk to you about today. Another point that I wanted to explain is that Swiss franc is going up against the British pound, that you would gain 10%, 3%, 5%, 8% against the British pound in last 3 years, but the housing market is on the same level. But it is taking away your money as the electricity expensive, gas expensive, taxes, etc., etc. So the British pound is going down, and I don't see any signs that it will revert. Please subscribe my channel. Please follow me. Thank you very much. I hope to see you soon.